Hi there, everyone. Welcome to the Love and Relationships podcast. I'm really excited to be here with you guys on this lovely Monday. Hopefully, you like the new setup. I wanted to go for a little more easy listening vibe, for us to, kind of ease into it and enjoy like the relaxing mood, which is in the evening. What I wanted to say going forward, guys, if you ever want to like have a conversation or like debate something, something that you disagree with on the podcast, just message me privately. You know what I mean? Like the whole point of the podcast is to bring people together. But when you're just pretty much saying like, oh, like one side is the victim over another and XYZ, we're not getting anywhere, right? Because I understand that some of the stuff I say is very triggering for some people. Like on our Lost podcast, it triggered some people when I said, hey, like if a woman has like father issues with her father, she might not be the best suitable candidate. It triggered some people. And I'm like, it's true, because how comes women allowed to have their preference of a guy? He has to be a provider. He has to be funny. He has to make me laugh. He has to make me feel X, Y, and Z. He has to be able to provide X, Y, and Z. But as soon as a man says, well, I don't want to date a woman who hasn't dealt with her trauma, doesn't have the best relationship with her father, all of a sudden it's an uproar. It's like, remember, like whatever standard you set for yourself, that standard is also going to be set by the other person as well, right? So everyone has their preferences, right? And we can't knock anybody for what their preferences are when it comes to dating. You know what I mean? So as I said, if you ever want to have that discussion, just DM me privately, you know what I mean? Or reach out on the Love and Relationship group, right? And I will answer your DMs there. So today's podcast, it's a very interesting one about 50-50 relationships. Do they work? Right? Now, it's difficult to say, and this is why I want to break it down on this podcast and hear what they have to say. And then we're going to add our commentary in the middle, because I think it's a very important subject to discuss across the board. Not to put anyone down, but to look at it from an objective point of view where we can just have a conversation about it. So let's do that. And we'll get into today's video. We'll hear what they have to say. As I said, we'll break it down at some points. And I'm really looking forward to it. Oh, and before we continue forward, from now on, you're just going to have me on the show. So hopefully I am enough for you guys, and we'll have a good time having these conversations about dating and relationships. So let's get into it. As you know, it's 8 at the Table, one of our favorite podcasts that we like to review, or that I like to review, I should say, because they give a lot of great information. So let's get into it. Let's hear what they have to say, and then we'll break down their points step by step.
And she's got it together. I'm going to love that. I'm going to appreciate that. And I could build with that. And I'm still going to take care of her. I don't look forward to asking her for shit. I don't need nothing, because I'm doing what needs to be done. And if she's doing that, I'm going to respect her even greatly. And now we're building. Now we're taking things to the next level. Mm-hmm. I don't need you to do anything except what you love doing. Be you. Do not change who you are. If you like to clean, clean because you're a clean person. I'm not asking you to clean because I get maids to do my goddamn cleaning. No, it's just what it is. Because, and I'm going to help you. What is it you like to do? I know so many people that I could connect with and say, oh, you like to do that? Let me connect you to A and B in order so you can propel yourself to be something greater. This is what I do. You know what I'm saying? So I don't mean, if a woman is, and listen, I'm all right with, I don't do 50-50. I don't need a half a chick. You know what I'm saying? I just don't. I don't want to meet you halfway. I need you full way. I need you to be 100 and I'm 100. Because then when you are slacking a little, let's say you go down to 80, I don't have a problem putting the extra 20%. It's fine. I could do that. But 50-50, that means we're already lost. Because now we got to get to 100 and you're 50. I'm not doing that. So I like your train of thought. Don't let them corrupt you, girl. All right? I'm just leaving.
It'd be like that.
For some wild reason, I hear a lot of like, I go on dates and then in the conversation, it's like, I'm taking this time to get to know myself. And I'm like, Like, how long does it take for you to get to know yourself? I need to improve. Yeah, and I'm thinking, I'm like, well, whether we're in a relationship or not, you're meant to always be.
Now, I like what he said. It shouldn't be like 50-50. It should be like 100-100, right? So that means that you've come to the table healed, put single people patterns behind you, and you're ready to um, transition into a relationship, right? Like fully, you're able to throw yourself into it, manage business, work, whatever it is you need to do to be in that relationship, because nobody wants, and I love that he said, nobody wants like half a person, like 50-50, like, oh, I'm still working on myself or what. Then it's like, well, wait, some people say I'm trying to find myself. It's like, trying to find what? Like, that should have been a journey that you should have definitely explored in your 20s. And now you're just kind of exploring it now. But then it's like, you want me to wait while you explore yourself. And then even if you figure yourself out, you might not even want me. You know what I mean? You might want someone else, or, you might be on this long-term journey when the other person is actually prepared. So that's what I'm saying. When we look at relationships itself, the relationship is the table. You have to come to the table healed, right? That's why it's so important. So I'm glad that they brought that point up.
Improving and do what needs to be done. It never stops. The improving just because we're together. Ends. And this is where relationships go left field, because people feel like they get stagnated and they don't want to improve anymore because they're like, oh, now I got what I wanted. Well, no, I need you to continue improving. I'm going to stay improving. So there's no lacking, because then we're not going to the 50-50, like I said. So my single comes from people, they're going through a lot. Nowadays, people just doing too much. And I know what I'm doing. I know what I need in my life. So it's like, are you coming to the table with being honest of who you are? I don't want the fake person that in time you hear attempting to change me. Because people fall in love initially for who they are. Oh, I like you, you're fun, you go out, you dance, you might drink a little, we go home, you spicy, and all of a sudden down the line, he's like, listen, you drink too much.
Yeah.
And I don't like that outfit you're wearing. Yeah. And you're late. You're meant to be at this time. I don't do none of that shit. I exercise free will. You do what you want. There's a line. Once you could dance before the line, you can tap dance on the fucking line. But once you cross that line, I got to reevaluate shit and say, this might be the chick I need to fuck with.
See, they brought up a very interesting point. It's like, you have a fun time, you have a great time, but then it's like, sometimes like they're doing too much. Like let's say they drink a lot. Let's say they're rude or belligerent. Let's just say they got a lot of trauma, they haven't healed, or like a bunch of those things, right? So then every time like you're starting to see like those red flags, you always have to reevaluate the relationship to say, I'm not too sure if this is my person. I'm not too sure if they're for me, right? So that's why I'm saying that for me, I think in the getting to know you stages is, I always say it's your job to find out as quickly as possible where this person fits into your life, to figure out their pros and their cons and figure out if you can deal with it, because nobody's perfect, right? But there's like certain cons that you shouldn't deal with, like anger issues, trauma, daddy issues, codependency. You know what I mean? Anything along those lines are things that you shouldn't be dealing with. So when it comes to that, it's like every time you got to reevaluate, like, is this really the person for me? So I do agree with Dave 100% with what he's saying, right? Like there's some things you can tap dance on the line with, but once you start like crossing the line, like crazy partying, getting drunk and all these things, or just behaviors that are not conducive to having a very successful relationship, now I have to reevaluate it. Now I have to say, I don't know if this is the chick for me, or, a female saying, I don't know if this is the guy for me.
Because you're crossing the line, and I don't like that shit. This is just what it is.
Well, there's boundaries. I think that proves wifey and fuckable respecting boundaries. Like, if we just fucking, I do what I want. You understand what I'm saying? If I'm wifey, I'm respecting your boundaries. He may not like texting. He may not be a phone conversation person. He may be a person like, I like going on dates at nighttime. I'm more of a brunch and lunch person. When you're trying to be wifey or you're finding hubby, they accommodate those things for you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a certain list to finding a hubby.
I think that term too, when you think about that term, that is like a long life term. Like it's to wifey, hubby, like that's in it for the long run. So when you're thinking about that, I feel like sometimes we as people, we're not looking at it in the long run. We're looking at it in the short term. And then like, yeah, we'll get there eventually. But it's even more deeper as to the person getting along with your family. Like that, I've had so many issues with that before. And that's one of the reasons why sometimes things don't last, because whoever you're with, you want them to be able to get along with your loved ones and vice versa.
Like, so, but
it's not like,
yeah, for me, I don't got time for that shit. So if a motherfucker don't like me, I'm not dating them.
But
okay, I'm gonna fuck. You know what I'm saying? I'm not dating. I don't care.
It's not as simple as they don't get along, so fuck it, they don't get along.
Yeah,
it's being respecting of their family, their friends. Like if you know that
I have daughters, so that too,
exactly, like, being respected of their children. Yeah, of their children.
But if I know that your grandmother and your auntie do not care for me, what I'm gonna do is be respectful, right? Respectful meaning I just won't come to the party where I have to be in their presence to be disrespected. Nobody wants to be in
But nobody likes that position. Like your partner's position, they're gonna hate that. Because I've been there. That's a horrible position.
This is the reality of it, right? This is the reality of it. As my partner, as my hubby, as your wifey, right? If every time I bring my man to a barbecue or whatever, my Uncle Joe is acting crazy, got something.
See, I think that's also very important to what they were talking about is do your principles and values align? Because in a lot of times in these situations, you will have people that will date someone, but they don't get along with their family and friends. So then it creates like awkwardness for everyone involved. And it's never a good time, especially if you're picking them as your life partner. Your family is your family for life, right? And then your partner, which hopefully you're hoping to build with long term, is there ends up being a problem there because every time you bring them around your family, it's like, let's say the dad doesn't like the guy or vice versa. Now you have a whole situation on your hands because if you're dating this person, your family's going to whisper in your ear, why are you with this person? Why don't you leave them? And then it just puts a harder strain on the relationship, a strain that you don't need. So that's why I think like what they're talking about, alignment, is super important. If you do not have alignment within the relationship, like principles, goals, and boundaries, then the relationship becomes struggle love, and nobody wants struggle love. So let's continue to hear what else they have to say.
Let's just say I'm dating a white man. And every time I bring him to my function, my Uncle Joe is just always got some racist remarks, disrespectful to him, and all that shit.
Oh, I'm going to be snapping on Joe.
To like him. He will be respectful in his presence.
What if it's vice versa?
But if Uncle Joe continuously gets out of line and my man got to show him this is not I'm going to stand back out of that.
What if it's vice versa? What if it's your man? What if it's your man having an issue with your uncle?
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. It's my man. I'm bringing my man.
No, what if your uncle's not doing nothing and it's your partner that's like, oh, I don't really like your family, and always talking about your family and having issues with your family?
So
how do you handle
that? In that occasion, at the end of the day, right? I'm dating my man for the reasons I'm dating my man, right? And this technicality of you don't like my uncle, I don't live with my uncle every day. I don't see him every day. He's not going to give me a baby. He's not going to help me build a foundation. He's not going to comfort and console me every night. So at the end of the day, it's a harsh reality. I'm not saying I'm going to be distant, but just when I see Uncle Joe now, my man won't be there.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, my ex-girlfriend was like that. She was, my ex-girlfriend, but real quick, my ex-girlfriend was like that. She was, one of the things that I truly appreciate about her is that she didn't let nobody disrespect me. If even her close friends said some slick shit, she was like, oh, we're not doing that. We're not talking to my man like that. Right. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what he did. And then when we're alone, she'll tell me, motherfucker, you was bugging. Yep. You know what I'm saying?
See, that's a very interesting point. How often does your partner stand up for you? right? What the girl said, like, she's like, well, if I pick this guy, like, my family's not going to give me a baby, console me, take care of me. You're always going to love your family, right? Like, we're not negating that. What we are negating is, do you defend your partner? Because it's like, if you're out and your friend says something slick to like you or whatever, you would hope that your partner would jump in to defend you, and then later on say, well, and you were kind of acting a little left. So I think it's super important to, as I said, choose someone, and I don't want to say the term ride or die, but that's in it for the long haul, because parting of being in a relationship, you guys are going to have to integrate your friend groups, right? And right off the bat, they might not like you, they might like you, whatever. So there's like an adjustment period, I guess, or like, I'd like to say a calibration of you guys molding your friend groups, right? And sometimes, there might be some slick stuff said or inappropriate stuff said, and you would hope that your partner would jump in to do what's right, to defend you, but then behind closed doors, give you the correction that you need. So that is a very, very important part that she brought up.
Yep. And I'm not letting my friends play you because I got to wake up to you every day and deal with you. We're not doing that. And
you better, one thing about women, you better realize what you got to go home to in your household. Protect your household first, because everybody else is disposable when you get into a serious relationship. Everybody else is disposable at that point. Sisters, brothers, everybody, because this is your new family. That's the reality. When you marry somebody, when you get into a relationship, and I'm talking about serious. Nobody wants to replace their mama, but if mommy can't get it together too, this is my new family. And
wow, what she said there is very powerful. See, that's the thing. When you're dating, you're supposed to date with purpose, right? And especially if it's serious, right? So if it's a serious thing and you get into it, I love that she said everyone else is disposable, because you're not building a family with them, right? So like, there's been situations where like some people will date somebody and they might got to cut off their mom. They might have to cut off their father. They might have to cut off a brother, a sister, a friend to build that relationship with that individual, right? Because like either like that person's rude to them or whatever the situation may be. And I've even been in that situation, right? Like I've been friends with some females in the past and they cut me off to be in their relationship, right? Like, because they were like, I'm building a life with this guy. He's giving me a baby. He's doing all those things. I wasn't going to ever give them those things. So what they did is they cut me off to have that. So you do have to understand that when you get into that relationship, it is like your spiritual stuff, your partner, then friends and family, right? And sometimes you might have to make those adjustments to let them go, right? Especially if you're building a life with this person and the people around you can't really get it together, or they're hating, or whatever the scenario may be, they're making your relationship very difficult. So they might have to go. So I think she raised an excellent point.
And sometimes what happens is you allow your family to disturb your peace. And if this person didn't have such an impact and opinion on your relationship, you and your man would not be even arguing.
Well, what I was going to say, sorry. What I was going to say was defend your man at all costs before family, because you could check him when y'all get home. Like, yeah, you was wrong for saying that. You should never did that. You kind of stirred up that little drama, but the way auntie reacted, that was a little bit much. Yeah. So that sets the tone of how they should be, treating him. You know what I'm saying? But if it's your man that's not respecting your family, that just takes off the check on the, hubby list.
That's what how you can avoid a whole lot of this is being completed with yourself before you even meet somebody else. What I hear in these conversations, as I just sat, that's why I didn't say nothing. Everybody's talking about who the other person is going to come in to complete them, right? I've been married. I always have relationships. I'm married now. I've been with my wife for 10 years. We was already who we was before we met each other. That's how it was simple for us to say, like, yo, I could fuck with you. I could fuck with you too. She had her money. She had her lounges. She had her career.
No, but what about if her family don't like you? Like,
but
how does that
we're
affect
talking about
her?
what makes people wifeable and not wifeable.
Right, and we said your family.
And somehow it got off onto the family. But I'm saying, once you're complete, my family knows not to fuck with me and my wife. They know better. And my wife's family know not to fuck with. You can't say nothing about me. It's not even going to get there, because once I met her, I already had a standard of who I was already. All right. Your family and how you move is not going to change my standard. My standard is always going to be here, and it's never going to go down whether you like it or not. So if you can't control your family and y'all can't deal with this, then we got bigger problems.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. See, look, guys. That guy dropped bars. I love listening to Esso personally. See what he said? Before you even meet somebody, you should be coming to the table complete. Right? You should have a firm idea of who you are. Right? Because once you know who you are, you're able to discern of what you can deal with and what you can't deal with. And I think that's super important, because you have people coming to the table that don't even know who they are. So they end up tolerating bad behavior from either a partner's family, and all these type of things. And it's because they have a lack of identity. And because of a lack of identity, they're in a relationship without even knowing themselves first. That's why you have to take the time to know who you are. And I love that he said, he's like, I'm always up here. So he's like, I'm never going down here. And he was like, her family knows not to talk mess about me, and vice versa. Even when, you know, he's been married for 10 years, and he's like, when I go to my family's place, my family knows not to F with my wife. And it's vice versa. Right? So, and I think that's a standard of knowing who you are as a person. Thank you. I love that guy, Esso. He's very amazing in his thought process. So let's hear more, and then I'm going to give my final thoughts on everything.
Not complete. You're not fully grown yet, because they already should know their boundaries when you got a relationship, when they coming in.
And honor your growth.
Yeah, and honor your growth. We're not going back and forth. My father, my uncles, my cousin said one thing to my wife, and this was my closest cousin, and I told her, like, we already know we don't get down like that, and I'm not even going to talk to you about it. I'm going to talk to my wife about it. And let's see what happens from there. And if I decide from that point, then maybe I might not talk to you again, because our world is fucking complete already. I didn't need her to complete me. She didn't need me to complete her. We came together in love.
That's why I said 100-100. Nobody wants 50-50.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's why I say it don't matter about the family. It's either we going to get it right or we not.
I mean, that makes
See, he's saying more valuable gems. We're either they were both complete, and then they came together completed. You see, and I love what he said about his cousin. His cousin said some slick stuff. He's like, I'm not going to deal with you. I want to talk to my wife. If my wife says, I don't really like what he did, he's cutting him off. And I think we have to get very comfortable in cutting people off if necessary, because of certain aspects. Now, that doesn't mean that they're bad people. Right? It's just you have to get comfortable inviting people in your life, and you also have to get comfortable letting people out of your life. You have to get comfortable doing both. Right? There's some people that are in your life for a reason and others for a season. And it's just like anything else in life. You enjoy the season, but when the season ends, the next one begins. So I think he dropped some valuable gems on that podcast.
makes sense. I'm just saying,
you won't be invited to the wedding. Okay? You won't be invited, because at the end of the day, me and him are going before God, not me, him, and everybody and the 10 sisters, cousins, and all that. No, it's me and him.
I think God assessed a lot of the qualities that, you know, we hold the wifey material. I know how to carry myself. Like, I know how to carry my way through life. I don't need nobody to take care of me. I don't need anyone. Definitely want someone, but don't need. I'm physically attractive, you know. I do have a great personality. Like,
how long you been taking now?
Only a couple of months, but we've been dating for over a year. Though, does that count?
So did you become wifey material now because of those dating? You showed something that person, or did you see something that you was like, I want to be wifed up? Like,
wifed up or not, I'm always wifey material. I feel personally I'm more wifeable than I am fuckable. Even if
it's crazy, I think you're fuckable too.
No, I'm definitely fuckable, but I think that I'm wifeable more. Even if that's what I wanted, even if being fucked was all I wanted, I think that people see me and they'll be like, okay, well, she's wife. So, if I'm gonna talk to her, if I'm gonna, want to do anything with her, it's to wife her.
Why would they think you wife though?
Just because I assess all the qualities, not all the qualities, but I feel like I assess a lot of the qualities to, that makes you a wife.
Do you think you're different from the women that's out here right now? And that's one of your qualities?
Well, not everyone's the same. I don't think that I'm completely different from anyone. I might be different from Naisha in some ways. Naisha's a mother. She takes care of...
Okay, we're going to wrap this up. Okay, so they brought up some interesting points throughout the podcast, right? I think when you're dealing with somebody, you need to know the skeletons in their closet, first off. You need to know if they have anger issues, trauma issues. All these type of things need to be addressed before you say yes to that person being your partner. So I would say that is number one. Number two, you have to ask yourself, and this is the mistake that a lot of people make. They're not checking to see if the person's husband or wifey material. They just say, they make me feel good. That's a small part of it. But if, let's say, overall, they're not checking the husband box or the wife box, it's like, why are you dealing with them? Right? Because you're at the end of the day, you're wasting a lot of your time and resources if you're dealing with somebody that you shouldn't be dealing with, or that you don't want the relationship to progress forward. Time is being wasted. And we all know that time is a very valuable asset, right? So to answer the question of 50-50, the relationship, you need to come to it 100-100. Now, there's other dynamics that we can look at. There's the financial aspect, right? Because, again, you guys are going to be blending each other's money. Now, depending on the type of woman or the type of man that you are, some guys are very comfortable doing 50-50, like financial wise, right? And that's not a problem, but also understand this, guys. And I want you to understand this very clearly. If you do 50-50 with a partner, don't expect them to be on their game 100%, especially if it's a woman. Think about it. She has to go to work. She has to come home and keep the house clean. If you guys have kids, she has to take care of the kids. If she doesn't have kids, she has to clean up the house, do those things, maybe cook you dinner. And, she also has to sleep with you. And you guys also got to do date nights. So you also got to realize that she might not be on point all the time. Now, does it work for some people? Yes, it does. But and I can only speak from my experience, the most successful relationships that I've seen are the men that I know that are in the top 10%. And these men are financially well off and their wives don't work. And their relationships are running very smoothly. Now, is that everybody? No, but I'm saying in their relationships, it does, because the wife can really just focus on household duties, take up other activities, take care of the kids, do a bunch of different things while the husband's out there fighting the world, fighting the war, doing what needs to be done, coming home, bringing home the bacon. His wife makes bacon, but it's like he doesn't need her bacon. He's like, it's great that you make us some money, but I make more than enough to take care of the family unit. And he gets the best out of his wife, right? So I think at the end of the day, It's literally going to be based off the individual, because we're not here to tell people how to run their relationships, but we want to give them the essential tools and certain conversations that need to be had before you say yes to committing to somebody, right? You need to know where they're at in life. You need to look at where you're at in life, and you need to assess those two things. So, because someone could be at a space in life and you're not there, so you guys are not in the same space, so it might not work. You see what I'm saying? So there's a bunch of things you got to look at, but I think more than anything, knowing yourself is like one of the key components, right? Especially if you're going to bring a woman into your life. Let's be 100, guys. If you're going to bring a woman into your life and you're asking for her to submit to you, trust you, feel safe with you, but you have nothing to submit to, you have to ask yourself, how long do you think that relationship's going to last? Her sirens are going to go off, because she's going to sit there and say, well, I don't really feel safe in this relationship. The guy's great, but like, he doesn't have this, he doesn't have that. I don't really feel safe, especially if you're looking long term, you know, house, kids, car, some form of financial stability. And guys need to get out of this thing that women love them unconditionally. It doesn't mean that a woman won't love you. And I said this on Instagram. It doesn't mean that she won't love you, but how a man shows love is being able to provide. That's how men show love. So being able to take care of our woman, because we want to feel needed by our woman. But if we are not, like, let's say, for example, providing that need by taking care of her, being there for her, you know, also on a financial level, doesn't mean she loves you just for your money. But, you know, if she needed something, she's like, my man's got me. Date nights, gas, just whatever, you know, if she did need something, she knew that she was taken care of within that space. So I always try to tell men to get out of the mentality of, she loves me unconditionally. No, she loves you, but there's always going to be some level of conditions, because if you lose your job and you stay broke forever, how long do you think she's going to stay in your space? She's going to probably love you, but she's going to be like, this is a horrible, toxic, terrible situation, because you don't have a roof over your head. Life's hard. There's barely any food in the pantry. How long do you think she's going to stick around for? Right? Not going to stick around that long. So ask yourself this. And again, take what you need from this podcast, but ask yourself this. 50-50. You have to ask yourself, what type of life do you want designed? If you were to have a partner, what life would you want designed for both of you? Because there's also so many dynamics to look at. When you have children, even according to studies, children need a parent from when they're born to when they're like 4, right? But you only get a year of mat leave. So then you end up having to like give your children to daycare or whatever. Someone else ends up raising your kids. So if, let's say you're dating someone, they might be like, no, like, I want to be at home for 4 years. For the first 4 years of our child's life, I want to be at home. So then you as the man have to say, okay, so for 4 years, you got to be bringing in the bacon. And then maybe your wife goes back to work or finds another job after those 4 years. So these are all discussions that need to be explored and had. But that's the thing. You have to stop thinking short term. And on the podcast, like what they mentioned, that's how people are thinking. They're only thinking about right now, but they're not thinking like longevity wise. Like, you're not just dating this person just to feel good. You're dating this person because you're like, yeah, you know, I could see a future with them. I could see a life with them. I want to, you know, get to know them now and see if we can go there, to go to that new area, right? Which is fantastic. That's why I'm saying date with purpose, date with intent. If you don't have an intent with this individual, leave them alone. All you're doing is causing more problems in the dating market, right? And we don't want that, right? We want healthy, happy people dating. If you know that you're not healthy and happy, step away, go find yourself, and then come back, and then figure it out. So, with all that being said, we're going to end today's podcast. You want to tune in for Wednesdays. Wednesdays is going to be interesting. It's pretty much going to be about, does body count matter to men? It's a discussion that's been going back and forth and back and forth. And I really can't wait to dissect it, to hear the different views, the different opinions, the thought process behind it. There's no right or wrong answer. It's going to be based off the individual, but I don't want to give too much away because it's going to be a great episode. And I want to thank everybody who's tuned in, who's watched us. As I said, we're doing a little bit of an adjustment and a change, but hopefully you guys stay in for the ride. We're still going to be doing everything that we promised, right? Because I do not want to disappoint you. Everything that we promised, we're going to deliver tenfold. All right. So take care of yourselves. I will see you on Wednesday. Now we can actually even do later shows. We can do shows at 6, 7. So with all that being said, I thank you everybody that supports the podcast. And please like, share, and subscribe. Help get us to 1,000 subscribers. That's what we're trying to go. I want this podcast to be one of, I'm not saying one of the podcasts out there where people feel trust, safe, even though we trigger people. They're like, you know what, I don't like what they said, but it makes sense. Where they feel that this is a trusted space to get great information, effective information that they can apply to their relationships, to their life, to make their lives better. Because I wish that I had these tools during my relationship 10 years, because if I would have had these tools, I probably would have made different decisions, probably would have picked better women, probably would have made better choices. And I just want to bestow that knowledge down to you. So thank you very much for everybody that's tuned in and listened. You guys are going to get the snippets tomorrow from today's episode, so you can watch those. And as I said, we're very grateful to have you. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you on Wednesday.